But we're here with our good friends, Kat and Griffin. And we are all, for anyone who's worried, we are all about 2 or 3 meters apart. We are observing the social distancing protocols, which have been
Influenced.
Which have been what's the word? Instructed by the government, advised, but not even advised. It's more strong than that, isn't it?
I would say...
Which have now become a legal requirement.
Enforced.
But not enforced because they're not checking on us.
Yeah. Well, not us here, but they have policemen.
Anyway. No, because today I got a text on my phone saying that stay at home. For more information, click here. They're sending it to everybody's phones. And on that link, it's a government page, they say places of worship are closed.
Shh.
No, but we're people who are residing here, so it's legal. And they said you are allowed to have services where people are observing the social distancing thing, and you're also allowed to televise as long as people are observing the social distancing. So in case people are concerned, we want to reassure the good folks at home, we are observing these government regulations.
But they do need to stay more than 2 meters away, at least 2 meters away from their computer.
Okay, so I would like to hear something from Affectionate Guidance. And I believe we are in chapter 10. We might have missed a chapter, but we can go back. We'll check later. Okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshornmitanjena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we are hearing from our Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. Chapter 10, A Life of Service. Srila Govinda Maharaj. This year, Srila Guru Maharaj is residing in his Samadhi Mandir. So this must be in like 1989, like that. 1989. This year, Srila Guru Maharaj is residing in his Samadhi Mandir, and we are trying to serve him through his instructions, through his guidance, and with his blessings. Although I do not speak English very well, still Krishna consciousness is moving heart to heart. Language is not as communicative as transcendental sound. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and so many other mantras are revealed in the Vedas. You know, I had this experience once, a few years ago, when I was in Ukraine. There was this group who were doing these random interviews, and there was this big Veda life event that was organized in a public venue, very prominent place in the center of Kiev. And so, you know, we were all in and out, and there was this like film crew who set up near the entrance of this building, and they were like approaching persons at random, asking to interview them. And at the time, I didn't really it was only till afterwards I realized like who they were and what their purpose was. But it turned out they were a language school, and they were trying to promote the importance of learning different languages. But I didn't know that till after the interview, because they approached me and asked me for an interview. And so I just like spoke very frankly with them. And it wasn't until afterwards they gave me like a pamphlet of who they were, you know. And so so they were asking me like about my life, and it was interesting for them because you know, they probably thought, oh yeah, we got just the right person, because I traveled so much, you know, I lived all over the world, and had learned, you know, to some extent other languages because of having lived in different countries for such a long time, so I learned something. And then they concluded with, so why do you think that learning other languages is important? And I said, oh, well, I don't. I said, it was so, I said, well, actually, I don't think it's that important, but it was, everything was so like kind of on the spot. I didn't get a chance to clarify what I meant. But what I meant is this point that Gurudev's making, that actually communication is taking place on a deeper level, beyond the medium of any language, And this, Srila Gurudev would always make this expression, heart-to-heart transaction, That is really the substantial thing. Just like the flow of mercy, the flow of grace, that's, and the Lord's divine will, His mercy, that is all coming to us, beyond any particular, limitation of this world. It's not constricted by a particular language or particular circumstance or particular mental capacity. Also, it's happening on a far deeper level than that. It is a really, we talk about these things like we know something, and we try to explain things like we can explain something, but actually it's a very mystical thing, a very mysterious thing, for persons like myself anyway. How this transmission takes place, and how it is that someone who can talk the talk and walk the walk can actually have nothing. And a person who can't say anything about it, can't explain what it is, and can't practice properly, they can actually have the real thing. Like, how do you actually explain that? I can explain something, but actually I'm not explaining anything, because it's something that's beyond, the power of our intellect to comprehend or convey, But we have the feeling in the heart. We can have some kind of idea. So the culture of faith, surrender, service, these are really the essential things. I was remembering one time, Jamuna Priya, one of Srila Gurudev's personal servitors, she told me that Srila Gurudev was quoting some verses, or I don't want to say quoting, it makes it sound like some type of scholarly exercise, but he was expressing some verses. And there's also this nice talk of Gurudev's I found, where he was quoting some verses of Rupa Goswami, and he was saying, what has come from the heart expression of Rupa Goswami, that is not just language, it is not just some words. That there is, divine, what has come from the heart of Rupa Goswami, there is some divine potency in that. And this is why we are, because sometimes devotees, they'll make English or whatever their language is, English or Spanish or whatever, and then they sing that instead of the original Bengali or Sanskrit, and that's okay, because it's also very helpful to have a clear, intellectual, conceptual understanding. But it's more important, actually, to connect not with any particular language, not with Bengali or Sanskrit, but with what was the original heart expression of a particular Vaishnava. That's actually what we're connecting with. We're not just connecting with ideas or words or language or poetry, but that potency in the heart of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or of Narottam Thakur, or of our Gurudev, of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. That's actually what we want to connect with. Their divine will, their potency, their grace is there behind that. So anyway, there was this occasion. Jamuna Priya said Srila Gurudev was chanting these verses, and then Gurudev and Jamuna Priya was there, and she didn't know the verses, but just to hear Gurudev chanting them, that was very ecstatic. So she was very happy just sitting and listening. And she said then Srila Gurudev, he commented to Goswami Maharaj, she doesn't understand what I'm saying, but she doesn't know these verses, she doesn't understand the Sanskrit, but she's listening with faith, and she's hearing with faith, and she's getting some benefit for that. Or like also sometimes devotees they'll skip the original, like if they're going through Bhagavad Gita or Chaitanya Charitamrita, then they might skip over the Bengali or the Sanskrit. And actually you can't do that, Of course, if you're going through Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada's edition, then you're connecting with what came from the heart of Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. That's another point, So there is benefit in that. But still, to hear, the original, to connect with, vibrate, what originally came from the heart of Kaviraj Goswami, that is a very valuable thing. So, that heart-to-heart transaction with Guru and Vaishnava, this is what we want. And Gurudev is also indicating here, Guru Maharaj is not physically here, but in this deeper way, through the heart connection, we are still serving him and receiving his grace. We are trying to serve him through his instructions, through his guidance, and with his blessings. Although I do not speak English very well, still Krishna consciousness is moving heart to heart. Language is not as communicative as transcendental sound. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and so many other mantras are revealed in the Vedas. We may not know their meaning, but by chanting them, the meaning is revealed. We are meditating on the mantras, and we are receiving light from them. We are meditating on the mantras, and we are receiving light from them. Yeah, this is so important. The songs that we sing, chanting the Maha Mantra, to remember that all of these things are not actually, sounds that we are producing with our tongue. No, because that would be something inferior to us. That would be something objective to us as subjects. But actually, all of these things, the Maha Mantra, these kirtans, they are actually super subjective to us. And with the proper mood of approach, they may reveal something to us. They may reveal themselves. They may awaken within our heart. So we are meditating on the mantras and we are receiving light from them. In this way we can understand that only the devotional spirit can help us. And devotion is the highest and only real means for practicing Krishna consciousness, for serving the Vaishnavas. If I see a man drowning in the river, should I go to learn the local language and then try to help? No, I will have to do what I can immediately. And our position is also equally desperate. We are drowning in the ocean of Maya, so whatever we now have, we will have to utilize that for our rescue from Maya. Guru and Vaishnava are coming from the transcendental world, from Chinmoy Dham, which is purely spiritual, and we are also essentially spiritual, so they can easily communicate with us, soul to soul. Guru and Vaishnava are coming from the transcendental world, from Chinmoy Dham, which is purely spiritual, and we are also essentially spiritual, so they can easily communicate with us, soul to soul. Soul to soul communication is the best method. And this is really what was so extraordinary in the exchanges that we saw Srila Gurudev would have with people. Because he was able to connect with persons on a very deep level. Like everyone, we all have our individual, concoction, mixture of our, Mayic, bundle of stuff, all of our various tendencies and desires. They're all playing over us. We have our this deluded, this whole aspect, of our deluded self, our concocted selves, which we're identifying with, 90% of the time, at least. And then so we all have that. And then we have the other, 5% or 10% or whatever, 1% of clarity, right? That inner aspiring tendency, seeking for something higher. And then we're interacting with so many others, right? And sometimes we're interacting in connection with that higher self, and other times we are interacting with these constructed, artificial selves, the karmic bundle, right? So we have, we're all seeing each other in different ways, right? Also depending on our degree of an awakenment and depending on their degree of awakenment, right? And so what we saw with Srila Gurudev is that in everyone he was like piercing through these layers and engaging with this spark of light in everyone. The brighter, even if it was 1% or 0.1%, like he could connect with that. And it could be something astonishing even, because we're seeing something else in this person. We're experiencing something else in this person. But with Srila Gurudev, it was like, like Gurudev's saying here, like soul to soul. Like he was connecting with the Atma. And of course, someone would have to have some level of an awakenment in order to be attracted by Gurudev's, presence. So that they had some degree of awakenment there, no doubt, of course. And Gurudev was connecting with that consciousness. You could feel it. It was so palpable. Like you could feel him, looking at everyone, and observing everyone, and feeling these lines of communication. It was really the most profound thing. You could really see that he was deeply observing and understanding and exchanging with everyone on a very deep level. And he would speak in very mystical, he would speak about this in mystical ways sometimes. At one time I remember him mentioning how he could see different natures playing over people, like he really had this like stark clarity, like looking at someone. He could see both. He was engaging with the brighter side, but he was also very clear on what the other side was. And I remember he mentioned that once. I can see, different natures playing over people. Like he could see the pull of different forces and in persons. And he also spoke about, I think he phrased it as like an instruction, how we should try to see how the holy name is playing within the hearts of the devotees. Like seeing that awakened side in the devotees, to see how the holy name is playing in their hearts, something like that. And there was also, this is going off on a little bit of a tangent, but tangentially related. This is my new word. How Goswami Maharaj, I heard from him, Gurudev commented about a disciple, I believe it was a disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he had this very simple service. It was like typesetting, something like that, like something involved with printing books, publications. And Gurudev commented how he could see how the will of his Guru Maharaj was playing in him, like in his being inspired to do that service or continue with that service. He was seeing how the will of his Guru Maharaj was playing within his heart. Vilasa tu hridi nityam bhakti siddhanta vani. So Srila Maharaj's verse. This is our aspiration, that the will of Guru will play within our hearts.
I'm assuming I didn't even make him.
Just see the power of Srila Govinda Maharaj. But he's also reciprocating with you. Otherwise you wouldn't feel that appreciation and attraction. I'm sure he's present brightly in your heart. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. It actually is.
With the infinite things that can pull us hither and thither in this material world, somehow we've remained here for 8 days.
Me too. Guru and Vaishnava are coming from the transcendental world, from Chinmoy Dham, which is purely spiritual. And we are also essentially spiritual, so they can easily communicate with us, soul to soul. Soul to soul communication is the best method. And in this way, when we are reciting the mantram, when we are trying to follow their advice, wow, in whatever way, they are helping us for our transcendental progress. Wow, that is an amazing line. When we are trying to follow their advice, soul-to-soul communication. So Gurudev is saying like independent of the physical connection, actually. Soul-to-soul communication is the best method. And in this way, when we are reciting the mantram, when we are trying to follow their advice, in whatever way, they are helping us for our transcendental progress. So in trying to follow the will of Guru and Vaishnava, their grace is coming to us. In trying to do their service and trying to follow their divine will, in chanting the mantra which they have given, then they are helping us. Their grace is descending to us. The sadhus, the saints, are establishing mats only for the benefit of the conditioned souls. They are so kind that only to help us they are arranging rooms, accommodation, and making so many arrangements, just so we may have a chance to serve the center, to help us progress easily towards our spiritual destination. And, really, like Gurudev was doing that. His idea was first you take care of the devotees and then you take care of the deity. Like that's literally how Gurudev, who else would do that? Gurudev did that. First you make a guest house for the devotees, and then you make a temple for the deities. And that's because you need to give the devotees prasadam. Literally, that's why we have to bring the Lord, because the devotees need prasadam. Literally, there's a place where Gurudev was describing how the Dum Park ashram came, and how he made the temple in Calcutta as like a transit station for devotees who are arriving to the airport, from the airport, and they want to go to Navadvip. It's a bit of a journey, and people have things to do in Calcutta. So he made a guest house in Calcutta. And then there's a place where Gurudev is saying, but if there are devotees there, then they need prasadam. And if you want prasadam, then you need the deity. So that was how the deities came. This was the Dum Park temple, I think.
Similar to the Ekashakra temple? Oh, that was Numa Charya Maharaj.
Yes, that came later, yeah. But really, Gurudev's focus was how to accommodate the practitioners of Krishna consciousness. And when he made a temple in Govardhan, because that was Srila Sridhar Maharaj's specific desire. But then Gurudev, seeing everybody goes, all the devotees like to go to Vrindavan, which is a bit of a journey from maybe 45 minutes, 1 hour. So then devotees like to go to Vrindavan, they also like to go shopping in Vrindavan, and then they're staying in guest houses. So then Gurudev decided to make some shelter there for the Westerners, because they like to go to Vrindavan. But for him, he was very happy with Govardhan. So, that's always how he was thinking. That was always his priority.
So magnanimous.
Yes. Extremely magnanimous. He was the embodiment of magnanimity. And then, the nice rooms that Gurudev made, like the marble floors, the older buildings aren't like that, but it was for the Westerners that he started making these. And then he started making ensuite bathrooms. Actually, he was inspired when he went to Australia. Jamuna, because Gurudev stayed in her house, I believe, and she told me how he went to use the bathroom, and he was taking a really long time, and so she got a bit worried, so she went to check, and Gurudev was just sitting there. I think there might have been a chair there. It was some fancy bathroom or something. And he was just marveling at this bathroom, this ensuite bathroom. And he was just looking at it, and he was inspired by that, And then he went back to Navadvip and he starts making And it was like something he talked about, like he liked ensuite bathrooms because they were so like convenient, you know. For the devotees, you know. And you know, like according to the strict Vedic standard, that's not acceptable at all. Not at all. But he's thinking about the comfort of the devotee. He's thinking about convenience and practicality, you know, like.
And for the Westerners, it can be quite jarring having to share Indian toilets because they're squat toilets and all this kind of stuff, and sort of. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking specifically about the ensuite arrangement, having the bathroom inside of your room. Yeah.
That's what I was saying, like having a bathroom out there.
Outside, yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean. I think definitely. Because then. Oh no, actually, I was thinking the opposite. Anyway.
And you know, and he always liked to make the prasadam according to, you know, he would always ask the devotees, especially in his younger years, you know, like if there's anything that they wanted, anything they needed, something that was missing in the prasadam, you know. Like Devidasi Prabhu told me, Gurudev was like really pressing him once, you know, like, is there anything that you want? And then Devidasi finally admitted, well, you know, Gurudev, if it's possible, I would appreciate some salad. Because for Indians, salad is a very foreign concept, you know, raw. Ayurveda doesn't really approve of, you know, raw vegetables. But that is one thing that Westerners always miss when they go there. Because it's such a Western thing, you know, salad. So Gurudev arranged. And of course, their idea of salad is you chop up cucumbers and tomatoes. That's the salad. But so Gurudev did that, and he arranged for that for Devidasi Prabhu. And he said Gurudev was very happy because it was ingredients that had been grown on the temple land. And so he didn't say organic exactly, because you know that word wasn't really being used then. But like maybe he said all natural. Like he was saying like we're not like without any pesticides, no chemicals, like that. You know, it's like so organic salad. But you know he was always you know caring so much that you know the Westerners are coming all the way there and not getting the comfort necessarily that they're accustomed to, and trying to make some compensation for that. So only so that, as Gurudev is saying, you know, so just so that we may have a chance to serve the center. They are so kind that only to help us, they are arranging rooms, accommodation, and making so many arrangements just so we may have a chance to serve the center, to help us progress easily towards our spiritual destination. I remember when I first went by myself, this was like just before I went to stay there permanently. So I was just coming as a visitor. And you know, I'm a 20-year-old kid, you know, basically. And before I arrived, later Mahananda Prabhu told me Gurudev had asked him, you know, is her room okay? He was asking like if my room was okay, you know. Like I'm just like some kid, you know. And he's actually like checking, you know, if not like I was one of the sannyasis or, you know, like one of the big devotees. I was just like, you know, 20-year-old kid, you know, coming for the first time by myself, you know, and Gurudev's asking if my room was ready, you know, if my room was okay. Like, oh my God, like what is this, you know, like, incredible. And he'd also, anyway. maybe I won't. Maybe I'll say off camera, but just he just really made you feel at home, like part of the family. He would make you feel like part of the family. In the association of other devotional souls, there will be no fear. In their company, we become fearless. Therefore, we should always be very enthusiastic to see the devotees and have their company. In the association of other devotional souls, there will be no fear. In their company, we become fearless. Therefore, we should always be very enthusiastic to see the devotees and have their company. We have been following Srila Guru Maharaj for so long, and we were always happy in his presence. And even now we are happy because now his instructions are coming in a supramental way. In the presence of Guru Maharaj, he would directly give his instruction, and so it was very easy to know his direction. And now, if we find ourselves wanting for any direction, we are meditating on him, and the instruction is coming, and we are gladly doing some seva, some service. So, unfortunately for me, Gurudev, the channels aren't quite so clear. like speak for yourself. I wish that worked for me so easily. In the presence of, this would solve all my problems right now. If I could do that. But the channels are a bit clogged, a bit, rusty, broken. In the presence of Guru Maharaj, he would directly give his instruction. And so it was very easy to know his direction. And now if we find ourselves wanting for any direction, we are meditating on him and the instruction is coming. And we are gladly doing some seva, some service. Union and separation is our supreme goal. And that is the Leela of Radha Krishna. And we can meditate on the pastimes of our Guru Maharaj in the same way, in the mood of separation. I am very happy if you can all stay for the Gaur Purnima festival. Actually, you may all stay as long as you like, and if the government will give you permission, then you may stay forever in this mat. There may have to be some mundane arrangements for visas, passports, etc., but we will always welcome you. This building and everything is here. That is only for the devotees. Okay, I think I'll stop there. It's a good place to stop. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. So that was the first 2 pages of chapter 10 of Affectionate Guidance. Okay.
What page is that?
Page 60. Will you turn off?